So let's say you're shopping for a new adventure bike. The one question I think a lot of us need to ask ourselves, and I'm sure we all have pondered before, are we shopping for the right bike? Should you get an Africa Twin, my all-time favorite bike, or should you get an NT 1100? I'm sure you can see where I'm going with this video now. Should you be buying an adventure bike or a sport touring bike? And what two better motorcycles to really talk about this topic, as we're gonna have 2 points here. Number one, again, adventure bike versus sport touring, but also the NT 1100 compared to the Africa Twin, as these two bikes are so similar. And talking about the Africa Twin, you all know this is my all-time favorite motorcycle. Whether we're talking adventure bikes, whatever, any motorcycle, this is my all-time favorite. Top to bottom aesthetics, performance, features and functions, everything about this motorcycle I love. This is my third one I've owned. Recommended to friends, they've purchased them as well, and they swear by them also. It's just such a great motorcycle. But again, is it the right motorcycle for you? Are you going to take a $15,000 to $20,000 just about motorcycle off-road, whether it be a fire road or something like a BDR that's a little bit more technical? You're going to drop the bike, scratch it up, maybe crack some plastics and damage it a little bit here. That's a big thing to consider when you're buying a motorcycle that's not cheap. You're talking, again, starting around $15,000 if you're looking new. So that's a big pill to swallow, again, with an adventure bike. Now, that's not saying you can't drop a sport touring bike, but let's be real. The likelihood is very slim. A sport touring bike, you're pretty much just on the road, and if you're being a fool out there, then maybe you'll get in some trouble, or if you got a crazy driver. But for the most part, it's going to be pristine. Now, one thing that really solidifies my point, and I'm sure many of you have seen it as well, if you're out riding with your buddies and they come on their big BMWs, or heck, maybe Africa Twins or whatever, most of them don't take them off-road. No. Like, maybe they'll do a quick fire road here and there, get to a campsite or something. But if you're going down something a little bit spicy, or you want to go on a long off-road trip, they're like, yeah, no, I'm not taking the big bike. So it's kind of like, why'd you buy a big adventure bike? And you can also look at their tires. Many of them will have street tires on it. You know right out the gate, okay, they're not taking that adventure bike off-road. That's not me trash talking, saying, okay, if you buy an adventure bike, you got to be gnarly, you got to ding it up, you got to go climb boulders and stuff. That's not what I'm saying. But in my eyes, if I buy an adventure bike, I'm going to utilize it as an adventure bike. If I buy a Jeep, which I've had before, I bought a Rubicon right off the lot that day, I went and took it off on some trails, trees coming down the side and everything. That's just my perspective, right? If I'm going to buy something, I'm going to utilize it for what it's built for. Now, I know it can differ when you're looking at other sport touring bikes, but again, comparing the NT 1100 to the Africa Twin, I mean, there's so many similarities, from the cruise control, the heated grips, the dash with Apple CarPlay, the other screens, the seating position, the gas tank. Again, they're so similar. I mean, I got a lot of stuff on my Africa Twin, as you guys can see here, from my CarPlay, my little remote, my bags and stuff. But again, if someone had them side by side and you're looking at them front to front, you really wouldn't be able to tell the difference. And then if we look at utilizing what the NT 1100 is built for, or a sport touring bike, I think a lot of us would truly utilize this bike to 90% of its potential for what it's built for, when on a big adventure bike, maybe 50-50, if even. Some maybe like only 20% will use it as an adventure bike. And I think when we class it that way, a sport touring, especially the NT 1100, you can do that 20%. Just swap out the tires, maybe some Dunlop Trail Max Missions or something, and you will be perfectly fine. And let me tell you, with my experience riding both of these bikes, I mean, there's no denying it, the Africa Twin is much better off-road, right? It's what it's built for. You can do whatever you want and really go wherever you want if you can handle a big 500+ pound bike. It's going to do whatever you put it through. But if you're on the road and you're touring and stuff like that, the NT 1100 blows the Africa Twin out of the water. Not even just talking about the cool wind blockage on this bike, which, yes, that's much more comfortable for the long miles, but also with that 17-inch front wheel. It sticks into the turns. If you're riding twisties and stuff, it's so much more confident. You get on the highway with the 21-inch front wheel, you get some of those wobbles, and it's a little bit unsettling. So on the road or the long haul, the NT 1100 all day long. But of course, if you're off-road and doing anything a little bit more serious, the Africa Twin all day long. And I think one of the more important topics about shopping for the Africa Twin or NT1100, or again, an adventure bike compared to a sport touring bike, is price point. A sport touring bike is pretty much always cheaper than a big ADV bike. Again, I mentioned the Africa Twin starts around $15,000, can go up to about $20,000 on the Adventure Sport, DCT or manual. And coming over to the NT1100, you're talking $12,000. Now this bike does only come in DCT, my Africa Twin's DCT. I swear by DCT, I did a whole video dedicated to that. Go watch that one, but you all know I love DCT. But back to price point, $12,000 to $15,000 as we're seeing right here. That's a significant amount of money. You can slap some different tires on it, get some cases, and have this bike totally built out, and it will do that little bit of off-roading for you. Now, I believe the happy medium in between both of these bikes here would be the new Africa Twin Adventure Sport. As the 2024s and above, at least in the US, I believe 23 over in Europe, but Honda did the refresh on the Africa Twins, and they really did a great job. The Adventure Sport with the 19-inch wheel is definitely more road focused, but still very capable off-road. And then with the standard trim or the base trim with the 21-inch front wheel, tubeless tires now and everything, a little bit smaller than the previous Africa Twins, it feels so much better off-road. Like, it is seriously a Swiss Army knife off-road. But again, you got the 21-inch front wheel. Now, if you're comparing it to the older Africa Twins, again, that would be 2022 and below, I believe, or 23 and below. They are completely different bikes than the new Africa Twins. They're bigger, they're taller, they are a lot more heavy. And then if you're looking at the base trim, you don't have tubeless tires or anything like that. So I definitely recommend you going with, again, the 2024 or above in the States. And if you plan on doing 50-50, maybe look at the Adventure Sport. But if you plan on doing more off-roading, look at the base trim. If you don't really plan on doing much off-roading at all, maybe again 10%, a little fire road here and there, maybe the NT1100 is the way to go. Let me know down in the comments what you think about this debate.